What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, I want to talk about why it feels like no matter what you do, you just can't seem to change. Let's dive in. All right, well, as always, so grateful for you. Welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, I want to talk about just the subject and the idea of changing, becoming who you want to become, doing what you want to do. And here's the reality. It is hard to change. It's hard to change. That's why most people don't. Most people either, number one, don't want to change, or number two, they don't have what they feel like they need in order to change. And so I want to talk to you about just a couple principles that have really helped me change who I used to be into who I wanted to become. Now, there are so many different ways that you can change, right? There are things that I've changed into that I'm very proud of. And there are things that with changing into those things, there's other parts of the way I used to be that I kind of miss. You know, I used to be this really free-spirited, fun-loving guy. Didn't have a care in the world, like super free-spirited, fun-loving, but I really determined that I wanted to establish a financial future for myself and for my family. Once I got married and started having kids, that became a major priority for me. And what I realized is that you have to change and become whatever your dreams demand you to be. So if you have dreams of building a successful business, if you have dreams of becoming this type of person or that type of person, then you have to change in accordance to the dreams, right? It can't be a negotiable. If you negotiate with yourself, you'll always lose. Once you've set a course of action, once you've determined that this is where you want to go and what you want to do, it can't be negotiable. I want to give you just two principles today in this video that are going to help you change. So number one is the difference between where you are and where you want to be is simply consistency. I like this. It's almost like a nursery rhyme. The difference between where you are and where you want to be is simply consistency. Good people do great things occasionally. Great people do great things daily. If you want to go anywhere inside of your business, your relationships, personal finances, it's going to take some really strategic decisions, but it's also going to take you changing your old frame of reference, your old frame of mind. Back when I was making $3,000 or $4,000 a month, I remember being like, man, I can't imagine making $100,000 a year. $100,000 a year felt crazy. And then hearing somebody that was making like $400,000 or $500,000 a year just felt absolutely insane. Well, then you figure out how to get to 100,000. So like you figure out how to level up, you figure out how to make more money. And then what you used to look at and just be like, man, there's no way, that's so crazy, now feels normal. And then the next level, you looking at somebody making $400,000 or $500,000 a year, it still feels like a lot, don't get me wrong, but it's less crazy than it used to be. Once you get there and you look at the next tier, what happens is you level up over time, but you have to have the mentality. If you're making $30,000 a year, you have to have developed the $100,000 a year mentality to get to $100,000. And your thoughts and your actions are always going to precede the outcome. I talk a lot about lag and lead indicators on this channel, on this podcast, and making $100,000 a year, that's a lag indicator. So we have to identify the lead indicators. I have to think different, I have to act different in order to do that. Making $500,000 a year, that's a lag indicator. So what's the lead indicator? I have to think and I have to act different. Okay, so when we look at why you can't seem to change, and I'll be honest about my own personal life. I used to literally lay in bed with a calculator and just dream and think about if we could make this much money, we could invest this much, we could save this much, we could be set up, we could retire by this age. And I used to do that all the time. And I do think that you should do that. But what happens is a lot of people stay there. And there's a quote that a good friend of mine told me, and it was one of the most impactful things anybody's ever said to me. And I was talking to him about all these dreams I had, and these aspirations and these goals and whatnot. And he said, most people would rather hold on to a dream that couldn't fail than trade it in for a reality that could fail. And that's one of the things that unlocked this idea of me that there was action that I needed to be taking that I wasn't taking because truly and deep down I was afraid I was going to fail. And so when it comes to wanting to change, it's going to come down to what am I thinking? What am I dreaming of? What are the things going on in my mind? But then what is the very practical, super practical daily steps that I can start taking to align myself to those actions? And so that's number one. Number two, this is the second kind of principle that you have to just own it. You have to adopt it. You have to believe in it and stick to it. If you want to change, here it is. You're going to either have to give up money, time, or convenience in order to change. You're either going to have to give up money, time, or convenience. So let's talk about money. There's some things that I didn't know. I wanted to grow my business. I wanted to do this. I wanted to do that. And I didn't know how to do it. So I paid money for other people to show me how to do it. And it accelerated my growth. It accelerated the change in my life. Was it expensive? Yes. Has it paid me 100 times out what I put into it? Yeah, it has. That's money. So time. You're gonna have to give up time. What do I mean by this? I mean, you're either gonna have to give up time learning or time experiencing, and probably both, in order to change. It's gonna take a sacrifice, okay? Or number 3, and this is the one that gets most people, and I'm also gonna go on a bit of a soapbox here. If you're a man and your family cannot eat, cannot pay your bills, and you're working 40 hours a week, what are you doing? You work from 7 to 3 or 8 to 4 or 8 to 5 every day. If your family is struggling and they cannot eat, you're not paying bills, you're getting repo notices for your cars, you should be sleeping 5 hours a night, 6 hours a night, and you should be getting up and you should be working all day. If you can't pay your bills, if you can't provide for your family. And this is the third thing you got to sacrifice. So the first one's money, the second one's time, and the third is convenience. People stay stuck because they love their convenience. They love the fact that when they come home from work, they can kick their shoes off and chill out and watch Netflix or play that game or whatever that thing might be. If you are trying to change, you've got to get this in order. If you don't get this in order, if you don't get your convenience in order, if you're not willing to sacrifice convenience, listen, some people don't have money. They can't sacrifice money because they don't have any to sacrifice, right? Some people can't sacrifice time because you only have 24 hours in a day. But at the bare minimum, if you're struggling to the point that it's a problem, you better figure out how to sacrifice your convenience in order to make things work. That's my soapbox. But if you're stuck and you can't seem to change, you've got to start thinking differently. Number one, you got to set a vision for your future. And then you got to look at your current opportunity that you're in and you got to say, is the current opportunity I am going to take me to the future vision that I have? Do I have the faith that the thing that I'm doing now and the opportunities that are going to be presented to me within this thing are going to take me there? Okay. And if the answer is yes, then stay in them and get better at them and learn more. But if no, then figure out what opportunity vehicles are going to take you there and go check those out. But you got to be willing to be consistent on a daily principles level of everything that you're doing to get where you're trying to go in order to change. And then you have to be willing to sacrifice either your money, your time, your convenience, or a combination of all three. So with that being said, I love you guys. I'm going to wrap this video up. We've got some resources for you in the description below. We got a free ebook. We've got a lower level entry program that'll get you beyond $10,000 per month inside your handmade or woodworking business. And then we have a program where you work more closely with me if you're a woodworker trying to scale to 20, 30, 40, 50,000 a month. So with that being said, I love you. I'll see you in the next one.